Well, when we come, to Iron Man 3, I think that we're sort of seeing the promise that was happening in Iron Man 2, the Japanese garden sequence where the two of them kind of get back to back and have to go after the bad guys. I think we kind of see that promise realized and fulfilled in Iron Man 3, where they have to come back together to do it one more time. But the relationship is strengthened, and we now have this public sector superhero with this private sector superhero, and how do these forces come together?
Disney and Marvel, and now Iron Man 3 is kind of a return to.
Well, Rhodey is clearly a colonel in the Army, and a colonel in the Air Force, and they have to he has to follow certain rules that Tony doesn't have to follow, and they need each other, and we kind of see where they plug the hole, so to speak, for each other and what they can do in their jobs. And we find Tony going through a lot of personal battles, and he needs his friend. And it's great to see, I think, these two, especially in the third act, kind of come together and complement each other.
This is autonomous. It can.
Well, I think the relationship with Tony and Rhodey has just gotten stronger, especially in this one. And I like seeing them outside of their suits, having to just go after these people as men and try and figure it out as real guys. And they bust each other's chops through the whole thing, which is, kind of fits in nicely with Shane Black's understanding of that genre, the buddy cop or sort of action genre. And I just feel like we kind of get to see the full complement of who these guys are.
Desperation. But I have to say.
Well, in Iron Man 3, we find that War Machine has now been rebranded as Iron Patriot, which is, a lot of good fodder for Tony to poke fun of Rhodey. And I know in the sort of Marvel lore that those are two different characters, and I've seen on Twitter people going, "Hey, what's up? What gives with that?" But we often use sort of a hybrid storytelling practice in these movies, and Marvel is good about sort of tracking that and figuring out where that's all headed. So, we'll see. Hopefully, if Robert wants to come back and we do another one, well, maybe he goes back to War Machine. I don't know.
Hadn't done such a great job.
Yeah, having the opportunity to do a lot of the wire work, a lot of the stunt work, a lot of the fighting, it's something that I'm a physical actor. I love to do that. It's something that, before I became an actor, I wanted to be a stuntman, and then I kind of grew a brain and decided to not do that and hurt myself. But it was great to have a minute, to do it in this film.
Is a very cool idea. It was.
Well, I try to just stay in good shape. On my show, the occupational hazard I have is, having to have my clothes off every 2 or 3 episodes. So I think the vanity is a good motivation for getting to the gym.
Is Jon Favreau, obviously.
Well, I think Rhodey, brings sort of the conscience of the franchise to Tony. He's sort of the one who's trying to ground him throughout the entire film, and Tony still seems to sort of untether Rhodey. As much as Rhodey's trying to ground Tony, Tony's trying to untether Rhodey, and I think it's a good tension for these characters, and plays out well, and especially in the third act of the show.
Like giant rabbits.
Yes.
I think it was, it's really enjoyable to do these franchises and come back and be able to play with all the toys, and have the opportunity to live out some childhood fantasies and fly around and in a safe way, and not really risk your life in doing some of these action sequences. But, made a lot of friendships, and getting to work with Robert again, and having the opportunity to meet Sir Ben and really get to know him as a man has been a lot of fun too.